What if the fix for your 2 or 3 p.m. afternoon crash isn't more sleep or more coffee, but moving one part of your lunch? After 40, small shifts in protein, carbs, and timing have outsized impact. Today, we'll run a 7-day mini experiment. You'll choose your level, make one move, and let it do the heavy lifting. No dieting and no spreadsheets. And I'll hint at 3 real-life women who found their switch. Stay with me, the answer may be the opposite of what you're doing right now. This is the show for midlife women who want to stop second guessing and start feeling strong, focused, and fully themselves. I am Heike Yates, a midlife fitness expert and mindset coach. On the Pursue Your Spark podcast, I share simple, no fluff strategies for movement, mindset, and nutrition so that you can stop spinning your wheels and start showing up with strength and confidence. Because thriving in midlife doesn't start with perfection. It starts with one bold step. Strong, confident, fully you. That's how we do midlife. I want you to meet Emma, Lisa, and Jasmine. They are 3 real-life clients that also happen to be part of the Pursue Your Spark book. So I want you to meet Emma. She skips lunch and rides the rest of the day on coffee. Lisa trains, eats pretty healthy, but bars and sweet lattes seem to sneak in. And Jasmine, she lifts and runs, but she still bunks on heavy days. Which one sounds like you? I want you to choose your level, and Emma is the beginner, Lisa is the intermediate, and Jasmine is my advanced client. And I will give you one action and one example that you can replicate. No tracking, no dieting, just steady energy that lasts. So let's go. When I started training for my first marathon, the Marine Corps Marathon here in Washington, D.C., I knew nothing about running training. I knew nothing about how to fuel or to eat for training for a marathon. So I chose the Montgomery County Roadrunners Club to help me with the running portion of the program, but they didn't provide any dieting tips or any how to, what to eat. And it was always about, take your goo, like you have your little sugar packets and the liquid packets that you have on the run. So in case you run out of energy, you have those little packages or some electrolytes and sugar in your drinks, and you'd practice that. But afterwards, we never really talked about this, but I thought I could figure this out. I mean, hey, I'm a certified sports nutrition coach, but I've never had to deal with this kind of aspect of it. So whether with a client or with myself, so I've followed the general guidelines. Carb loading. You always have to carb load because now you're running such long distances, and especially on the weekends. Good job. Let's have a nice big ice cream afterwards because it does help with carb loading. I was so silly. I had no idea. But that's okay because that's how we learn. I gained weight during that training phase and I felt really sluggish. So just to put it in perspective, at this point I was 47 and also perimenopausal. So my hormones started to rage. I didn't sleep as well. And my cortisol level started to shift, which I hadn't considered at that point because I always think of myself as superhuman. So, oh well, here I am. But once I recognized that what was happening, and I was really honest with myself, things started to change. I did have a grade raise, and you can read about this in my book, Pursue Your Spark, in detail because it's a long, long story. But I want to talk about how do we eat after 40 to boost our energy consistently without those crashes, without even gaining weight and feeling better. But we have to ask ourselves, why does it matter what we eat and when we eat, and how our meals are comprised of different things, like not just carbohydrates. Women tend to eat more carbohydrates in general than men. And it's easy because it's simple to grab something on the run when you're busy. But we need to look at it from a different perspective, which involves cortisol cortisol and estrogen shifts. After 40, estrogen trends down, which reduces insulin sensitivity. Your body gets noisier with carbs, so blood sugar swings are easier to trigger. On the other hand, you have cortisol, your stress or survival hormone, that raises blood glucose to prep you for it's ready, let's go, let's do it. Chronic stress, poor sleep, and more equals more cortisol, bigger spikes than dips. And during the menopausal transition, the daily cortisol rhythm can shift. It can be flat, it can spike with hot flashes. Stress can aggravate HPA axis activity. And another reason the 2 p.m. crash shows up is short sleep. Even 4 to 6 hours reduces insulin sensitivity, so that the same lunch that was fine at 30 can crash you at 45 after a rough night. And I remember those nights not sleeping. So what does it mean? Lower estrogen makes your fuel system touchier with carbs. Add stress or short night's sleep, and cortisol dumps extra sugar in your bloodstream. That spike feels good until it dips, and then you'll crash. And it's not about willpower. It's hormones and timing. Lower estrogen and higher stress makes carbs louder. Protein timing and short walk turn the volume down. So what I recommend as a general recommendation, eat a protein-first lunch before 1 p.m. It helps you steady blood sugar, less cortisol rescue. Then 10-minute walk after lunch helps you shuttle glucose into muscle, blunting the dip. So we're avoiding the dip. And finally, water, and take 3 slow breaths before caffeine. And keep caffeine at pre-noon. Nudge cortisol level back to its normal rhythm. So there's a lot to think about when we are thinking about what we need to do to keep the energy up. And you can listen to this part again. So how does estrogen and cortisol affect everything? How does sleep affect how sensitive we become to our cortisol levels? So I hope that gave you a little bit information, even though it was a little bit abstract maybe to some of you. But let's dive into Emma, who is on track 1, and she's our beginner who gets crashes every day at 2 p.m. You know, a lot of people ask me, Heike, does it really matter when it comes to nutrition or exercise? And they say, well, you know, I'm fine. But, and usually what it comes down to is that we think we need willpower, and I just mentioned that, to make those changes, but we are not. We're taking little baby steps. And you may have to listen to this episode again to choose your level, whether you're track 1, 2, or 3, Emma, Lisa, or Jasmine. But I want you to also not get ahead of yourselves. For 7 days, I want you to pick one thing, what you're going to do, getting more energy and keeping your energy. Not perfection, just progress. So I have Emma here. Meet Emma. She skips lunch like many of us because we're busy. We're sipping coffee, and then 2 p.m. hits and we're just like, oh my God, I need some more coffee to stay awake. She wants one simple thing that she can do. One action this week is to eat a balanced lunch for her before 1 p.m. Now, it's easy to create that lunch. It's not, you don't have to have a scale. Here is what I always teach in the Pursue Your Spark Blueprint and all my courses. You pick protein first. I talked about this. Then you add vegetables to your plate. And then you add smart carbs and healthy fats. So what would that look like? You look at your hand. Yeah, right now, when you're driving, be careful. And the palm of your hand is your protein. This is as big and about as thick as, let's use chicken because that's the simplest way, would be for one serving. You make a fist. That is your vegetable. And again, for easy purpose, this could be broccoli. Then you have a half a fist of smart carbs, which could be rice, ideally quinoa, could be potato. So let's not demonize the other carbs because they're also good carbs. And the thumb of healthy fats, for me, it's always a quarter of avocado. This could be your lunch. You could make a chicken, vegetable, potato, and a piece of avocado. Or it could be a sandwich. Or you could make or buy when you're at work, buy lentil soup with a side of salad with olive oil. And then as you have your lunch, of course you eat mindfully. And if you need, like later throughout the day, grab a boiled egg, protein first, and a piece of fruit or hummus with vegetables. Let's not demonize fruit because of its sugar. It's healthy. It's healthy, healthy, healthy. So lunch first, coffee after, if you still want it. I got to tell you, when I drink coffee now, and sometimes I'm going, I can do this. I'll just drink a regular cup of coffee. I break out in sweats. It's not even funny. I sit there and I sweat like bullets. So as you know, or maybe not know, I drink mostly fennel tea or turmeric ginger teas. So think about this. Skipping lunch feels light, but it's actually a setup for the crash later in the day. Win the week by hitting the pre-lunch at 1 p.m. for 5 to 7 days. That's all I need you to do if you're level 1. So when you think of our Emma, she can do it. It's not something that's impossible. It's not something that's super complicated. It is really putting yourself first instead of not. Because if you're saying that work is much more important than you're fueling yourself so you're not crashing. So I want you to try this for 7 days, at least 5. You can do this. And also tell me if you get stuck. So 1 week of one lunch and afternoons are leveled out. Have you ever picked up a book, marked it up, dog-eared the pages and think, where has this been all my life? Hey, it's Heike. That's what I hope Pursue Your Spark will be for you. This isn't just something to read. It's something to live. Inside, I break down the 5 biggest emotional traps that keep midlife women stuck and guide you through 6 simple, powerful worksheets so you can stop spinning your wheels and start feeling strong, steady, and feel like yourself. It's like a warm, encouraging conversation mixed with a clear action plan. And if today's episode hit home at all, this book will feel like it was written for you. If you are an Emma, you're good to go. But we all progress. We're all starting somewhere and then we're getting stronger. We learn more. We're progressing to maybe to a Lisa, who's on our track to the intermediate person. And Lisa trains a few days a week. She does some strength, some Pilates, some cardio. And she says about herself, she eats pretty healthy, but oftentimes leans on protein bars or bars in general that are healthy with nuts and all kinds of things in them, and also sweetened lattes. But she wants steady focus and steady energy. Her plan 1 directive are 30 grams of protein at lunch and a protein snack at 3 p.m. Now you say, Heike, how do I measure my 30 grams of protein? Remember what I talked earlier about Emma? So that's why we're building on this. So you're learning from each of the women. It's that palm of your hand is your 30 gram of protein. And then you add a protein snack at 3 p.m., which could just be an egg or hummus dip. Now, a good example is also to add more protein into your day is a Greek yogurt with berries and 2 tablespoons of ground flax. Take less if it's too much for you, but you have your protein and your fiber so you can go to the bathroom and it keeps you full longer. If you're saying, listen, this is great, I can do this, but if I get in a pinch, what protein bars should I buy? Here's the rule of thumb. Buy protein bars that are higher or have more than 15 grams of protein and less than 8 to 10 grams of sugar, or skip the bar altogether. Remember, protein anchors your afternoon. When you're eating the bars or the sweet lattes, even if they're labeled high protein, I just cringe when I read the labels. That just calls for a crash or a sugar spike and then a crash later in the afternoon. We just recently went to Maine and we stopped by a coffee shop and I said, oh, how about we just grab a bar? And it has molasses and nuts and seeds and it's all super healthy. And it didn't look really closely to the ingredients, and the calories were about 170, 180 calories. I'm like, yeah, that's going to be fine. Then while we're on the plane, I actually read the ingredients. It did have plenty of protein, but it had way more sugar than I had planned on. And the nuts and seeds are great, but I forgot, and sometimes I do with my microscopic colitis, I can't eat nuts. You may be able to, but they don't sit well. So I just gave the bar to my husband, who thought that it was delicious. But for us women, we need to look at things a little more clearly and with detail and not just skim over like I did. I could have saved myself $4 for a bar. Yes, $4. So here's your win. Hit your 30 gram of protein at lunch and at 3 p.m. your protein snack. And do it every day for 4 days. You can do this for 4 days. Figuring out what the snacks are you want, and then depending on what you eat for lunch, but eat your lunch. Just don't forget about that. So after 30, we naturally lose 3 to 8% of muscle each decade. So by age 40, aiming for 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal supports steady energy. And remember, it doesn't have to be hard to figure out what the portion size is. The palm of your hand and the thickness of your hand is about what you eat. May it be a burger, a chicken, a vegetarian patty, whatever it is, however you get your protein in. I'm not getting into detail into this on this episode. And think about this. When you plan your snacks and you do not rely on the bars and the lattes from your favorite latte place, which has a lot of sugar and a lot of other stuff in it that we don't really need, and it's not benefiting our energy. It means planned snacks means no vending machine. You're not standing in front of the vending machine thinking, oh man, I feel so tired. I feel so sleepy. I have a brief to write. I have the kids to pick up afterwards. I just can't. I'll just eat whatever. And think about also, if you feel like that at snack time, imagine when you come home from work and you're home and the cheese and the crackers and the wine look at you. Just the food for thought. So think about this. If you are Elisa, you can do this. We are protein forward. And if you train, you need train harder, I should say, than Emma. You need a different approach to your nutrition and a different approach to keep your energy up. So let's look at Jasmine. This will be another fun example. I don't know if you know that, but I was a bodybuilder in my mid-30s. Yes, one of those that built big muscle as humanly possible, which I only could do so much. I have long limbs and long muscles, but I did my best to really get big and bulky and lean and cut to pose on shows as a bodybuilder. And I did that for 3.5 years. And then I sat down and I said, this is way too restrictive. This lifestyle is not for me, because you would eat like this 24/7. There was no break. But the point of my story is not that I was a bodybuilder. The point of it actually is that I was super active back then, super heavy lifting, and I always ate protein first. Now, let's meet Jasmine, our advanced participant or our advanced lady. She lifts, she runs, and she eats well, but she's still bonks on heavy days, and she wants power on demand. So there's no futzing around with that girl. And again, you can read more about Jasmine in the Pursue Your Spark book and how her journey developed throughout the book. I want you to do, if you are a Jasmine, you're super active and you're like, man, heavy days mean you do heavy lifting, heavy training, and you just can't make it through. You go to bed as soon as you come home, or you run out of gas, out of energy, then this strategy is for you. One action this week is to run the 3-2-1 schedule on workout days. 3 meals with 30-gram protein, 2 planned snacks, high in protein and fiber-based, and 1 carb-heavier meal placed around training or heavy training days. So again, what would that look like? Because I was like, oh, this sounds all great, 30 grams of protein. Who knows how much that is? Think of you making a salmon bowl. You have salmon, you have, remember, the hand portions that I mentioned earlier. So it's 1 flat hand. Then you add a 1/2 cup to 1 cup of quinoa, big greens, broccoli, maybe cauliflower, add some avocado and olive oil. That could be one of your meals. And again, we need to hydrate. Drink water before caffeine and add electrolytes on your sweaty days, on your running days. And if you are a Jasmine, you know exactly what you take. I don't need to tell you all the products because this is not a product placement place, but you know how to add your electrolytes. Place your carbs when you need power. So think about that. Carbs don't need to be in every meal, but protein. What happens sometimes is because we're so busy with our runs and workouts, we eat a tiny lunch and overeat at big events or have sluggish workouts. So front load your protein. Again, protein first. And when you listen back to Emma, you can apply some of those strategies too. And I want you to hit this 3-2-1 only on 3 days. So 3 meals with 30 grams of protein, 2 planned snacks, that's strategy number 2 on day 2, and 1 carb heavier meal placed around a hard training day, like a long run or even a hard lifting day. So carbs are not the enemy, but it depends on where we're putting our carbs and also how much water we drink. Are we hydrating enough? Are we making sure that our food is digested with all the hydration that we are providing for our body? Move your carbs post-workout is better in the afternoon and fewer evening cravings. So think about that. Even 1-2% dehydration can drag down focus and make you feel fatigued. So that water before coffee isn't optional, especially on heavy days. I know that this episode is loaded with information that you can take action. I feel that I have not focused enough on that for you. So in future episodes, including that of my guests, we get more action-taking steps, but action that you can do and not say, oh, I tried this out and it doesn't work for me. So when you go back through this episode, I want you to really listen to that one thing that I want you to do. If you're Emma, a Lisa, or a Jasmine, which one are you? Do that one thing I recommended for 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, 3 days, and then tell me, come back to me and say, Heike, this worked. Can you help me more? I need more action. I don't want you to feel, oh, this didn't work. I tried her recommendation. So here's a quick recap. Lunch before 1, snack at 3 and 3:30, and you hear it again, make it protein forward. Water before caffeine. I just said that to somebody yesterday. Upgrade to one choice, not everything. Remember that 1 to 2% dehydration drags down focus. So water before coffee isn't just cute advice. And let's drop the shame. Skip the spike and crash. Ultra-processed snacks, sugary healthy bars, you heard that right, dessert coffees, and quickly swap it out for the bar for yogurt and berries, the latte for, yes, have the coffee, and a protein snack. Remember that refined high GI glycemic index meals spike, then dip, and are set for post-meal sleepiness, or set us up for post-meal sleepiness. Protein and fiber steady the curve. So pick one of those, like I've outlined, whatever it is, earlier lunch, protein-focused, planned snack, water before coffee. Because energy isn't something you earn. It's something you support meal by meal and choice by choice. Run your one action this week and come back to a story of radical self-permission. A scientist hits emotional black ice, teams up with her therapist, and uses brief therapist-guided practices to navigate triggers and rebuild daily stability. We'll shift from what happened to the braver, what did it do to you, and how that reframe reshapes healing and daily energy. Hit follow so you don't miss it.